The Plaza Ballroom was a universe of glitter and wealth, where every smile felt sharp and every glance carried judgment. Emily Scott stood near a massive floral arrangement, clutching her worn handbag like armor. Her dress was simple, her presence small, and she could feel it. She didn't belong here. This world was built for people who spoke in luxury and breathed entitlement. Emily was only here because the bride was a childhood friend, someone who had escaped their neighborhood and married into unimaginable riches. Emily had promised she would come, but now she felt less like a guest and more like a mistake. Across the room, Dr. Henry Montgomery was trapped in a different way. He wasn't an outsider, he was the centerpiece. His mother, Eleanor Montgomery, stood beside him like a queen orchestrating a kingdom. She gestured toward a wealthy heiress nearby, her voice low and commanding. "She's perfect, Henry. 5 generations of Hampton summers. It's time you settle down with someone appropriate." Henry's jaw tightened. Since his divorce, his mother's matchmaking had become relentless. He felt like an asset being auctioned, a man reduced to reputation and bloodline. His eyes scanned the room, desperate for escape, and then they met hers. Emily, alone, quiet, beautiful in an unassuming way, with eyes full of defiance despite the humiliation burning across her face. Because in that moment, an arrogant drunk in a tuxedo had cornered her. "I don't believe we've met," the man slurred, looking her up and down as if she were staff. "You must be with the catering. Fetch me another scotch." The insult hit like a public execution. Emily's cheeks flushed, her fingers tightening around her bag. She wanted to disappear. And that was when Henry moved. It was reckless, impulsive, not logical, but something inside him snapped. He crossed the ballroom with the stride of a surgeon walking into an emergency. The crowd parted instinctively. He stopped beside Emily, ignored the arrogant man completely, and leaned close. "Pretend to be my wife," he whispered. Emily froze. "What?" "Play along," he murmured, his eyes sharp with dangerous intensity. "I'll make it worth your while." Before she could protest, he took her hand. Warm, firm, real. He turned toward his stunned mother. "Mother," Henry announced smoothly, his voice carrying just enough for nearby guests to hear. "I'd like you to finally meet my wife, Emily." A collective gasp rippled. The drunk man went pale. Eleanor looked struck by lightning. Henry smiled brilliantly, pure performance. Then he lifted Emily's hand and kissed her knuckles. "Darling," he murmured, "I believe they're playing our song." That night became a whirlwind of convincing fiction. Henry never left her side. His hand rested on her back, possessive and protective. He whispered witty remarks that made her laugh, real laughter, surprising them both. They danced, and in his arms Emily felt something she hadn't felt in years, safety. When the night ended, he escorted her away from prying eyes. "You were convincing," he said coolly. "You weren't bad yourself, doctor," she replied, her heart still racing. He handed her a slim black card. "I'll be in touch." Then he disappeared into a waiting car, leaving Emily standing in the cold night air, her skin still tingling where he had touched her. A week later, reality returned like a harsh slap. Emily worked double shifts at the diner. Bills piled higher. Her mother's heart condition worsened, and medical debt became a monster swallowing their lives. She was balancing plates during a lunch rush when the diner fell silent. Dr. Henry Montgomery stood in the doorway, a king wandering into a peasant's world. His gaze locked onto her. "Miss Scott," he said calmly, "we have business to discuss." He led her into a quiet booth. No small talk. "I know about your mother," he began. "The debt, the medication, the struggle." Emily stiffened, shame burning. "I am proposing an arrangement," he continued. "A 1-year contract. You will act as my wife publicly, attend events, maintain the illusion we created." Emily's breath caught. "And in exchange, I will settle every debt. Your mother will receive lifetime care at Montgomery General. Private room, best specialists, everything covered." It was a miracle, a lifeline, but Emily knew there was always a price. "Why me?" she whispered. Henry's eyes were cold. "You're pragmatic, predictable, motivated." Then, Quieter, sharper. Love is a liability. He slid a tablet forward. The contract. Emily scrolled through dense legal language until her blood turned cold. Article 11. Emotional Attachment Termination Clause. If either of them developed genuine feelings, the contract would end immediately. All benefits would cease. It was a trap. Honesty would destroy her mother's care. Lying would destroy her soul. This is impossible, she breathed. It's a safeguard, Henry corrected. My terms are absolute. Emily thought of her mother, of debt, of desperation. With trembling hands, she signed, accepted, and stepped into the most dangerous game of her life. The move to Henry's penthouse was surreal. One day she lived in a cramped apartment. The next, she inhabited a silent fortress of glass above the city. Henry assigned her quarters in the East Wing. His own suite was in the West. Distance maintains clarity, he said coldly. Remember the clause. 2 nights later, her first duty arrived, a hospital fundraiser. Stylists transformed her into someone unrecognizable. Henry looked her over clinically. Acceptable. But when his hand touched her back, she felt the tremor in his fingers. At the gala, Henry played the devoted husband flawlessly. Smiles, touches, whispered jokes. A kiss pressed to her cheek for his mother's benefit. But his lips were warm. And for a fraction of a second, Emily closed her eyes. She felt it. And she knew he did too. The first spark. The first crack. Weeks later, exhaustion caught up with her. During an event, the room tilted and Emily nearly collapsed. Henry saw it instantly. He crossed the hall, took her arm, and announced firmly, "My wife is unwell. We are leaving." Back at the penthouse, he cared for her personally. Soup, medication, cancelled surgeries. His concern wasn't contractual. It was human. That night, her fever spiked. She drifted in restless sleep until she felt a cool hand on her forehead. Henry sat beside her bed in the darkness. His thumb stroked her temple unconsciously, soothing, tender, real. Then he jerked back as if burned, shock flashing across his face. Terrified, not of her illness, but of his own heart. After she recovered, tension settled like a storm cloud. They avoided each other, professional and distant. Then came Florence, a neurosymposium. 3 days in the most romantic city in the world. They performed for cameras, walking arm in arm through cobblestone streets. They bought gelato and laughed in sunlight. For moments, they forgot the contract. On their last night, they found a hidden piazza where a violinist played beneath the Tuscan moon. The music swelled with longing. Henry turned toward Emily, his eyes unguarded. Slowly, inevitably, he leaned in. Their lips inches apart. Then they flinched back. Panic. The claws. The fear of ruin. They walked back in suffocating silence. Back in New York, the explosion came from outside. A viral memoir excerpt from Henry's ex-wife painted him as a heartless monster. The world turned cruel. Emily found Henry in his study, whiskey in hand, broken. "It's all lies," she said fiercely. He laughed bitterly. "Is it? I am a man who uses contracts to manage relationships." She stepped closer. "She doesn't deserve your pain." Her loyalty shattered his last defense. With a groan from his soul, Henry pulled her close and kissed her. Desperate, hungry, consuming, Emily melted into him, her arms around his neck. Truth, catastrophic and beautiful. When they broke apart, horror struck them both. Henry stumbled back. The contract is terminated. He began typing termination papers like a man amputating his own heart. Emily snapped. "Then you're a fool." She stood before him, trembling with strength. "If we are invoking honesty, then be honest. I broke the contract too." Henry froze. "I fell in love with you weeks ago," Emily confessed. "Maybe the first night." Silence. A loophole. Mutual breach. No enforcement. Only truth. Emily couldn't stay in limbo. She left. Henry drowned in emptiness. Then Eleanor intervened. "You are a brilliant idiot," she told her son. "Go fix what you broke." Henry finally went to the diner. Saw Emily by the window. Terrified, vulnerable, he sat across from her. "I was a fool," he whispered. I built a fortress to protect myself and froze inside it. He slid a plane ticket across the table. You are free. Your mother's care is secured forever. No strings. No clauses. He looked at her, voice breaking. I hope you choose me. Then he left. Emily stared at the ticket. Freedom. Paris. Rome. A new life. But a world without Henry felt colorless. She left the ticket behind and walked out. Henry heard the elevator chime at the penthouse. Emily stood in his doorway. I don't want a ticket to the world, she whispered. I already have my world. She stepped closer. It's here with you. Henry's relief was overwhelming. He pulled her into his arms. No contract. No fear. Just love. Weeks later, he took her back to the plaza rooftop. Candles flickering under stars. He knelt. Our contract is over, he said softly. But I want a new one. No clauses. No conditions. He opened a velvet box. Will you marry me, Emily, for real? Tears streamed down her face. Yes, she whispered. Yes. 1 year later, Emily walked down the aisle. Her mother healthy. Eleanor smiling. Henry waiting with open love. Later, Henry handed her a cocktail napkin. Their final contract. We agree to break the emotional attachment clause joyfully every day forever. They signed it laughing. Their story began with a lie whispered in a ballroom, but ended with truth written on a napkin. Because love was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be chosen. And that is the end of today's story. If you enjoyed Henry and Emily's emotional journey, don't forget to give this video a like. It really helps the channel out. Now tell me, do you think Emily made the right choice in the end? Or would you have walked away? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I genuinely love to hear what you think. And if you're a fan of romantic, cinematic love stories like this one, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more. Turn on the notification bell as well, so you never miss the next story, because the next one is going to be even more intense. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.